"Don't touch that recorder," the little girl said, and every grown man in Vincent Moretti's dining room went still. The gold signet ring lay on the marble beside her emptied backpack, its black onyx face flashing under the chandelier. Salvatore Greco, the family consigliere, lifted one calm hand and said, "Enough, the child is confused." But Lily Hart stared at Vincent and whispered, "His fingerprints are on it." 3 hours earlier, the Moretti mansion still looked like a place where nothing could happen unless Vincent allowed it. 2 iron gates guarded the drive. Cameras watched the hedges. Men in dark suits stood near the kitchen entrance, pretending not to watch everyone. Inside, the long dining table had been set for 12 with white roses, silver knives, and wineglasses so thin they made Clara Hart afraid to breathe too close to them. Clara had worked in that house for 8 months, cleaning rooms where one lamp cost more than her car, and she had taught her daughter one rule above all others: do not touch anything that does not belong to you. Lily obeyed it like scripture. She kept both hands around the straps of her faded blue backpack as she sat on the small wooden bench outside the service hallway, waiting for her mother's shift to end. In the ballroom, a pianist practiced something soft and expensive. In the cigar room, men laughed behind a closed door. Then Lily noticed the first wrong thing. Bianca Vale, Vincent's fiancée, walked past the service hallway wearing pearl earrings and a smile that looked painted on. But her perfume was different from usual. Not flowers. Not vanilla. Something sharp like rain on metal. A moment later, Salvatore came from the same direction, adjusting his cufflinks. His face was smooth, polite, almost bored, but he held a green velvet pouch between 2 fingers before slipping it into his jacket. Lily only saw it for 1 second, maybe less, but she had learned to remember things adults wanted forgotten. Her mother's rent receipts, the hospital bill folded behind the sugar jar, the way landlords smiled before saying no, the way rich people lowered their voices when they thought staff became furniture. Lily reached into her backpack and touched the small recorder she used for school choir practice. Earlier that afternoon, she had forgotten to turn it off after recording herself singing for the winter concert. A tiny red light still blinked beneath the scratched plastic. She did not understand why her stomach tightened until she heard her mother's name through the cigar room door. "Clara saw too much," a man said. Lily froze. The pianist missed a note far away. Another voice, softer, female, answered, "Then use the child. Nobody questions a thief when she comes from the help." Lily's fingers closed around the recorder. She did not run to Vincent. Men like Vincent Moretti did not become powerful by believing little girls in hallway shadows. So Lily stayed quiet. She stepped backward, pressed herself behind a linen cart, and held the recorder against her chest until the voices moved away. 10 minutes later, a housekeeper screamed from the study. Vincent's signet ring was gone. The house sealed itself like a trap. Doors shut. Guards moved. Clara was pulled from the pantry with flour still on her wrist. Then one of Vincent's men found Lily's backpack under the bench, unzipped it, and dumped everything onto the floor in front of the guests. A math worksheet, pink pencil, a half-eaten granola bar, the little black recorder, and the green velvet pouch. When the ring slid out, Bianca covered her mouth with 2 perfect fingers. Salvatore sighed as if disappointed by something predictable. Vincent Moretti looked at Lily for the first time not as the maid's daughter, but as a problem. Lily looked down at the velvet pouch, and before anyone could pick it up, she saw a gray crescent of ash caught in the seam, smelling faintly of cinnamon cigar smoke. The ash looked too small to matter, just a pale hook of dust caught where the velvet had been stitched together, but Lily kept staring at it as if it were louder than the ring itself. Cinnamon cigar smoke did not belong in her backpack. It belonged in the private room behind Vincent Moretti's study, where children were not allowed, where maids entered only when the glasses were empty and the men had already left. "Pick it up," one of the guards ordered. Lily did not move. Her mother made a small sound near the pantry doors. Not quite a sob, not quite a warning, and Lily felt the whole room turn toward that sound with the cold attention people gave to weakness. Bianca stepped forward slowly, her satin dress whispering against the floor. "Sweetheart, she said, using a voice soft enough to bruise. This will be easier if you tell the truth now. Lily looked at her perfect red nails, then at the coat draped over Bianca's chair. The same sharp metal rain perfume clung to the collar. I am telling the truth, Lily said. Salvatore gave a sad little smile. Children panic. They invent details. Mr. Moretti, perhaps the kindest thing is to handle this privately. Vincent did not answer. He stood at the head of the table with one hand resting beside his untouched wineglass, his face still enough that no one could tell which way his judgment was leaning. But his eyes moved, from the ash to the green pouch to the recorder to Lily's hands. He noticed she was not reaching for the ring. She was reaching for the recorder, not to hide it, but to keep anyone else from touching it. Leave the recorder where it is, Vincent said. The guard stopped mid-bend. For one brief second, Salvatore's jaw tightened, then smoothed again. Of course, he said. But the ring was found in the girl's bag. After my bag was under the bench, Lily said. Not while it was with me. A couple of guests shifted in their chairs. Someone's fork touched porcelain with a tiny, nervous click. Clara whispered, Lily, baby, don't. Not because her daughter was lying. Because the truth in houses like that could be more dangerous than guilt. Vincent looked toward the security chief near the wall. Footage. The man lifted a tablet and came forward. Elway camera. Service entrance. East stairwell. The clips played in silence on the polished table while everyone leaned closer. There was Lily at 6:41, sitting on the bench, swinging her sneakers an inch above the floor. There was Clara at 6:44, carrying folded napkins. There was Salvatore at 6:47, entering the corridor near the cigar room. Then the screen blinked black. The timestamp jumped. 6:47 became 6:48, then 6:49. The hallway returned empty. Signal glitch, the security chief said too quickly. Vincent did not look at him. How long? The man swallowed. 47 seconds. Lily's eyes lifted. That's when I heard my mom's name. Bianca exhaled as if pained by the whole performance. Vincent, please. She is a frightened child repeating whatever she thinks will save her mother. Then she reached into her small silver clutch and took out a folded bill, crisp and white-edged. Not enough to look like a bribe to adults. Too much for a child. Lily, why don't you come with me to the kitchen? We can talk away from all these men. Lily looked at the money, then at Bianca's face. My mom says never take money from someone who wants you quiet. The room tightened. Vincent's thumb moved once against the rim of his glass. That was all. But it was the first time Bianca stopped smiling before she remembered to start again. Salvatore stepped closer to the tablet. The missing footage proves nothing. The ring was still found in her possession. Vincent finally bent down, not to comfort Lily, not to forgive her, but to look at the pouch without touching it. The ash in the seam had not fallen from above. It had been pressed there by fingers. Beside it, almost hidden under the velvet fold, was a thin gold thread, the exact color of the curtain tassels inside the cigar room. The gold thread lay against the velvet like a hair pulled from a mask. No one spoke for a moment, because it was small enough to deny and specific enough to remember. Vincent took a white linen napkin from the table, not to clean anything, but to slide it beneath the pouch without touching the seam. The cigar room curtains, he said quietly. The security chief looked toward Salvatore before he looked at Vincent, and that tiny mistake moved through the room like a draft under a locked door. Salvatore gave a measured sigh. Many people passed through that room, Vincent. Guests, staff, your own men. A thread proves nothing. Lily's eyes stayed on the pouch. It smells like the room, she said. Bianca folded her arms gently, as if she were protecting herself from unpleasantness. Sweetheart, you keep saying things smell like rooms. That is not evidence. Lily turned her head toward her, slow and careful. No, ma'am. It smells like Mr. Greco's cigar. The room changed again. Not loudly. The men near the wall did not move, but their shoulders squared. Clara closed her eyes. Salvatore smiled, but the smile arrived a second late. I smoke cigars, he said. Half the men in this house smoke cigars. Not the cinnamon ones, Lily said. The ones with the gold paper. You tap them on the glass ashtray before you light them. Salvatore's gaze cooled. And where would a little girl learn that? Lily swallowed. She looked at Vincent, then at the recorder on the floor. Waiting for my mom. Her voice did not tremble, but her fingers did. People say things around kids when they think kids are just waiting. Vincent did not soften. That was what made the silence worse. He was not rescuing her. He was measuring each word like weight on a scale. What else did you hear? He asked. Bianca stepped in before Lily could answer. Vincent, this has gone far enough. She is frightened. Clara is frightened. Let them leave, and we can decide tomorrow with clearer heads. Nobody leaves, Vincent said. Bianca's mouth closed. Salvatore's phone buzzed once inside his jacket. He did not take it out. Lily heard it because she was listening to everything now, the way children listened when adults decided their future over their heads. He said something about a ledger, Lily whispered. One guest made a soft choking sound. Vincent's eyes lifted to Salvatore. A ledger. Salvatore gave a dry laugh. She heard a word men use in business and now repeats it. That is all. No, Lily said. He said, put it in the girl's bag before Moretti sees the ledger. For the first time, Vincent's face lost a fraction of its stillness. Not enough for strangers to notice. Enough for men who had served him 10 years to stop breathing. Clara shook her head once, terrified. Lily. But Lily reached into the side pocket of her backpack and pulled out something folded small enough to fit beneath a child's palm. A receipt. Greasy at one edge, creased twice. The ink faint but readable. I found this under the linen cart, she said. After Mr. Greco walked by. The security chief reached for it, but Vincent raised 2 fingers and stopped him. Lily placed it on the marble beside the recorder. It was from a coffee shop 4 blocks from the river, stamped 5:18 p.m., 2 black coffees, 1 almond biscotti, paid in cash. On the back, written in blue ink, were 4 numbers and 1 word. Pier 19. Vincent stared at it for a long second. That is not mine, Salvatore said, too quickly. Then he corrected himself. I mean, I have never seen it. Lily looked at him, and all the fear in her face sharpened into something quieter. I didn't say it was yours. The recorder's red light blinked once between them, steady and patient, while the smell of cinnamon smoke rose from the velvet pouch and made the little receipt on the floor feel less like trash and more like a map. The receipt stayed on the marble long enough for everyone to understand that no one wanted to pick it up. It was too ordinary to be dramatic, too dirty to belong beside crystal glasses and imported roses, and yet Vincent kept looking at the words on the back as if the ink had raised a gun under the table. Pier 19. Bianca was the first to recover. She stepped around the fallen pencils and the granola wrapper with the careful grace of a woman avoiding a puddle. Vincent, she said softly, a child can find a receipt anywhere, parking lot, a sidewalk, a trash can. We cannot let a household accusation become a courtroom because a little girl collects scraps. The word scraps landed exactly where she meant it to land. On Lily's backpack, on Clara's apron, on the space between the servants' hallway and the dining room chandelier. One of the younger guards looked away. Clara's face went pale, but Lily only bent down and placed 2 fingers on the edge of the receipt so it would not curl. I don't collect scraps, she said. I keep things people drop when they are in a hurry. Salvatore gave a quiet, sympathetic sound. And now we are rewarding that habit. He turned toward Vincent, his tone patient, nearly paternal. You know how these stories grow. A missing ring, a nervous child, a frightened maid. Give it 1 hour, and every employee in the house will think they can accuse anyone with a rumor and a piece of trash. Vincent's eyes did not leave Lily. Bring down every green velvet pouch from my study, he said. The room went still again. Salvatore's expression barely changed, but his right thumb pressed once into the side of his glass. Vincent, that seems unnecessary. Then it will be quick. 2 guards went upstairs. During the wait, The dining room became colder without the temperature changing. Lily stood beside her emptied backpack while adults in $1,000 suits watched her like she was something that had fallen from a shelf and embarrassed the owner of the house. A woman near the far end whispered, not quietly enough, "Why was the child even inside tonight?" Another answered, "These staff families get too comfortable." Clara reached for Lily's shoulder, but Bianca stopped her with a gentle hand. "Maybe don't touch the evidence area, Clara." She smiled when she said it. That made it worse. Lily straightened. She kept her hands by her sides, but her nails pressed into her palms. Vincent saw that. He also saw Bianca's hand pull back from Clara's sleeve as if the fabric might stain her. The guards returned with 6 velvet pouches on a silver tray. All green. All nearly identical. Salvatore relaxed the fraction. It was the kind of test meant for adults, not children. Vincent pointed to the tray. "Which one was in your bag?" Lily looked at the pouches, then closed her eyes. "May I smell them?" A ripple of discomfort moved around the table. Bianca almost laughed. "This is absurd." "Let her," Vincent said. Lily leaned forward, not touching, just breathing carefully over each pouch. The first smelled like dust, the second like cedar, the third like old coins. At the fourth, she stopped. "This one." Salvatore sighed. "Lucky guess." Lily opened her eyes. "No. This one has cigar smoke, and the thread on the corner is pulled." Vincent lifted his gaze to the guard holding the tray. "Where is that pouch kept?" The guard hesitated. "Top right drawer in your private study, sir." "Locked." "Always." Vincent turned slowly. "Who has access?" The guard looked at Vincent, then at Salvatore, then at the head housekeeper near the wall. "You do. Mr. Greco does. And Mrs. Bellini has the emergency key card." Mrs. Bellini, the head housekeeper, stiffened as if someone had touched the back of her neck with ice. "My card never left my office," she said. Lily looked at her. "Yes, ma'am, it did." The old woman's face tightened. "Child, be careful." Lily pointed to the silver tray. "There's a white sticker on the bottom of that pouch. I saw it when the man put it in Mr. Greco's jacket." Salvatore's smile returned because he thought she had finally reached too far. "No one saw anything placed in my jacket." Vincent took the fourth pouch with the linen napkin and turned it over. A tiny inventory sticker clung to the underside, half peeled, marked with the study drawer number and a fresh smear of dark blue ink. Salvatore's own pen, still uncapped in his breast pocket, had leaked a single dot onto his white shirt. The blue ink dot on Salvatore's shirt was no larger than a pinhead. But for the first time that night, the room began to understand why Vincent Moretti had survived so long. He did not accuse. He did not raise his voice. He simply looked at the dot, then at the smear on the inventory sticker, and let the silence do what shouting never could. Salvatore glanced down only once. Too fast. Then he smiled with the tired patience of a man surrounded by foolishness. "A leaking pen is not a confession, Vincent." "No," Vincent said. "It is not." That answer seemed to calm him, but not enough. Lily bent slowly and picked up the little black recorder before anyone else could reach it. One guard stepped toward her. Vincent lifted his hand, and the guard stopped. Lily held the recorder against her chest with both hands. The plastic was scratched near the speaker. A pink star sticker had been peeled halfway off one corner. It looked like something that belonged in a classroom cubby, not on the marble floor of a crime family's dining room. "I didn't steal your ring," Lily said. "But I think this herd who wanted you to think I did." Bianca's face softened in public sympathy. "Lily, sweetheart, recordings can be misunderstood. Sometimes children leave devices, running and catch pieces of things that sound frightening. Then let it sound frightening out loud," Lily said. Clara's breath caught. Vincent looked at his attorney, a thin, gray-haired man who had not spoken all night. "Copy it first." The attorney opened a laptop at the sideboard. Lily did not hand the recorder to him until Vincent placed a clean cloth on the table and told her, "Set it there, not give it, not surrender it. Set it there." That difference made Lily's chin lift a fraction. The file took 23 seconds to transfer. Everyone watched the progress bar crawl across the laptop screen as if it were a fuse burning toward powder. When the attorney nodded, Vincent said, "Play it." At first, there was only the soft hiss of fabric, the muffled clatter of dinner service, Lily's own small breathing. Then piano music drifted through, far away and delicate. A door closed. A man exhaled. Something tapped glass 3 times. Slow, slow, quick. Lily did not look at Salvatore. She looked at Vincent, because she wanted him to hear it before anyone explained it away. A woman's voice came next, low and smooth under the piano. "How long before he notices?" A man answered, distorted by the recorder rubbing inside the backpack, but clear enough to make the room shrink. "He won't. Not if the ring is found first." There was a pause. A lighter clicked twice. Vincent's eyes moved, just slightly, toward Bianca's silver clutch. Bianca did not move, but one pearl earring trembled against her neck. The recording continued. "Blame the maid's kid," the man said. "Moretti will throw them out before dessert." Clara covered her mouth. Lily stood very still. The woman asked, "And the mother?" The tapping came again, 3 beats against glass. She saw the second ledger. "She leaves tonight." The attorney stopped breathing through his nose. One of the guards made the sign of the cross so quickly he seemed ashamed of it. Vincent did not speak. He stared at the recorder as if it had pulled an old ghost into the light. Years ago, his father had warned him never to fear the stranger at the gate as much as the familiar voice in the next room. Vincent had thought age made men paranoid. Now he listened to that ruined little school recorder and heard the same lesson come back wearing a child's fingerprints. Salvatore spread his hands. That voice could be anyone. The recorder crackled again, as if answering him. In the background, faint but unmistakable, Bianca's laugh slipped through the piano music, followed by her whisper, "Just make sure Vincent never sees Pier 19. Vincent turned his head slowly toward the woman he had planned to marry, and for the first time all night, he moved his wineglass away from her hand. The wineglass made almost no sound when Vincent moved it, just the faint scrape of crystal across polished wood. But Bianca heard it as if he had slammed a door. Her hand remained suspended where the glass had been, 2 fingers curved around empty air. "Vincent," she said gently, "you cannot be serious." Vincent did not answer her. He looked at the attorney. "Secure the copy." The attorney closed the laptop halfway, slipped a small drive into his palm, and placed it inside his jacket without ceremony. Salvatore gave a short breath through his nose. "You are letting a damaged toy decide what happens in this house." "No," Vincent said. "I am letting everyone's words decide what happens in this house." Then he turned toward the staff corridor. "Clara." Lily's mother looked like she had forgotten how to step forward. Flour still dusted the side of her black uniform. Her hands were red from sink water. "Sir," she whispered, "you saw a ledger?" Clara's eyes flicked to Salvatore and then away. That was enough to tell Vincent she had. "I was cleaning your study after lunch," she said, each word careful, as if the wrong one might cost her breath. "The frame behind your desk was crooked. The photo of your father. I straightened it, and the panel behind it moved." Salvatore's face remained composed, but his left hand disappeared into his pocket. Vincent saw it. So did Lily. "What was inside?" Vincent asked. Rain started tapping against the tall dining room windows, soft at first, then harder, little silver lines racing down the glass behind the guests. For one small second, the mansion felt almost ordinary. Rain outside, dishes cooling on the table, a child standing beside her mother after dinner. Then Clara reached beneath the white apron tied around her waist and pulled out a folded strip of paper. "Only this piece," she said. "It tore when I tried to put the book back. I was scared someone would think I stole it, so I kept it to explain." She laid it on the table beside the recorder. Numbers, names, restaurant deposits. "Doc Fils," a company Vincent did not recognize. At the bottom, in a hard slanted hand, were the words VM leaves after dinner. Pier 19, midnight, Vincent read them once, then again. His face did not change, but the room seemed to lose 10 degrees. Bianca let out a wounded laugh. This is madness. A maid hides a financial document in her apron, and somehow that makes her honest. Lily turned toward her. My mom hid it because she was afraid. Bianca's eyes softened falsely. And you want money for that fear? Lily shook her head. I want her to stop being scared when she tells the truth. No one had an answer for that. Vincent looked at his security chief. His voice stayed low enough that guests leaned in to hear it. Pull every camera from the study hallway, the cigar room, and the east stairwell. Full backups. Not the house server. The off-site feed. The security chief stiffened. Of course, sir. And door logs for my study. Keycards. Emergency access. Last 72 hours. Mrs. Bellini, the head housekeeper, pressed a hand to her throat. Mr. Moretti, my card never left my office. Vincent looked at her for the first time. Not harshly. Worse. Carefully. Then we will find out who made it leave. Salvatore smiled faintly. This is becoming theatrical. Vincent picked up the strip of ledger paper with the linen napkin and turned it toward the attorney. Quietly check the accounts tied to that company. Now. Bianca's silver clutch vibrated on the table. Once. Twice. She did not reach for it. Lily did. Not to take it, only to look down before Bianca could flip it over. The screen lit for half a second with a message preview from an unsaved number. Is the girl gone yet? Lily said nothing. She simply looked up at Vincent. And in that silence, with the rain ticking against the windows and the recorder's red light blinking beside his father's ring, Vincent Moretti understood he had spent years guarding his doors from enemies, while letting one sit close enough to touch his glass. Vincent did not ask Bianca to unlock the phone. That would have warned her where the blade was. He only looked at the glowing message until the screen went dark again, then turned his face toward the security chief, as if nothing important had happened. Dinner continues, he said. The words fell so softly that the room obeyed them before it understood them. Plates were not removed. Wine was not poured. No one ate. The rain kept ticking against the windows, and the chandelier hummed faintly above the table like a nervous insect. Bianca's hand hovered over her silver clutch, then stopped when Vincent looked at her. Leave it, he said. It might interrupt you again. A small smile touched Salvatore's mouth. Vincent, you are frightening your guests. Good, Vincent said. Then he pulled out the chair beside him and looked at Lily. Sit. Clara moved first, instinctively, ready to protect her daughter from being placed too close to a man like him. But Vincent added, your mother too. That was when the room felt the first turn. Not forgiveness. Not trust. Something colder. Placement. Lily climbed into the chair, her sneakers dangling above the floor, the recorder on the table in front of her. She kept one hand near it, not touching, just guarding. Vincent leaned back. Mr. Greco, he said, tell me where you were at 6:47. Salvatore spread his hands. In the cigar room, as I already said, alone for part of it. Then speaking with Dominic about the wine shipment. Dominic, one of the guards by the west wall, looked up too quickly. Vincent noticed. Lily did too, but what she noticed was smaller. No, she said. The room turned toward her. Salvatore's eyelids lowered. No. Lily swallowed. The man on the recorder said Clara, not Mrs. Hart. The guards call her Mrs. Hart. Mr. Greco calls her Clara because he tells her where to clean. A silence followed, thin and sharp. Salvatore smiled again, but this time he showed no teeth. Many people know your mother's first name, but not the way he says it, Lily said. He says it like he's giving an order. Vincent placed 2 fingers on the recorder. Play the word. The attorney replayed 3 seconds. The room heard rain-muted fabric, the low male voice, and Clara saw too much. Vincent did not look at Salvatore. He looked at Dominic. Say her name. Dominic blinked. Sir. The maid's name. Say it. Dominic's throat moved. Mrs. Hart. Vincent turned to Mrs. Bellini. You. Clara. she said, but gently, with years of work in the sound. Vincent turned to Salvatore last. You! Salvatore gave a faint laugh. This is childish. Then humor the child. Salvatore's hand tightened around his napkin. Clara, he said. Lily's fingers curled against the edge of the table. Same weight, same downward cut. The recorder sat between them like a small black witness. Vincent did not accuse him. He only nodded once to the attorney. A laptop on the sideboard chimed softly. A file had finished loading. The security chief stepped close and murmured. Off-site feed recovered. Vincent's gaze stayed on Salvatore. Put it on the wall. The screen above the fireplace lit with a grainy hallway angle the house server had somehow lost. 6:47. Lily on the bench. Clara in the pantry doorway. Salvatore near the cigar room. Then Bianca crossed the hallway with one hand inside her silver clutch. Behind her, for less than 2 seconds, Mrs. Bellini's emergency key card flashed in Salvatore's hand. Mrs. Bellini whispered, Dear God.
Bianca stood abruptly.
I need air. Her chair legs scraped the marble. No one touched her. No one blocked her. But as her hand reached the dining room door, Vincent spoke without raising his voice. The east exit camera is recording now. Bianca's hand stopped on the brass handle. The red camera light above the doorway blinked once. Lily looked from the light to Vincent, then back to Bianca, and only then did Bianca understand that the little girl was no longer standing alone in the room. Bianca's fingers stayed on the brass handle as if the door had turned hot beneath her skin. For 1 second, no one breathed loudly enough to prove they were still alive. Then, Vincent said, Come back to the table. He did not say please. Bianca turned with the slow elegance of a woman trying to make obedience look like choice. You are humiliating me in front of staff, she said, her voice soft enough to invite sympathy. No, Vincent said. I am letting the staff hear what was done in their name. That struck harder than an accusation. Clara lowered her eyes, not out of shame now, but because the weight of being defended felt unfamiliar. Lily kept her palm beside the recorder. The little red light blinked, reflected in the black onyx of the signet ring like a tiny warning flare. The recovered footage played again, slower this time. Bianca crossing the hall. Salvatore's hand near his jacket. The flash of Mrs. Bellini's keycard. Then the frame froze on something no adult had mentioned. Lily leaned forward. There, she said. His sleeve. Vincent looked at the screen. Salvatore's cuff had pulled back just enough to show the face of his watch. 6:47. But the dining room clock behind him in the footage read 6:45. That camera was delayed, the security chief whispered. Not the camera, Lily said. The clock in the hall is always 2 minutes slow. My mom checks it when she takes out dessert plates because she has to catch the 9:10 bus. Clara looked at her daughter as if she had never understood the size of her small silences. Vincent's face went pale in a way no enemy had ever managed to make it. Not fear. Recognition. A child had memorized the clock in his hallway because her mother's bus mattered more than his chandeliers. A child had watched time carefully in a house where adults had never watched her at all. The attorney connected Bianca's phone backup to the laptop. No one had touched her clutch, but the house system had captured the preview, and the carrier record had already returned through Vincent's private legal channel. Messages appeared on the wall, plain black text on white. After the girl is gone. Make Clara disappear quietly. Pier 19 at midnight. The widow papers are ready. Bianca's face emptied. Salvatore did not move, but sweat had gathered near his temple. Those are not mine, Bianca whispered. They are from an unsaved number. The attorney clicked once. The unsaved number expanded into account details tied to a shell company listed on the torn ledger strip. A bank transfer trail opened next. Payments to the driver assigned to Vincent's car. Payments for a camera jammer. Payments to a pier security guard. All routed through the same company. Then came one final file, restored from the recorder after the damaged audio was cleaned. Vincent did not know he had gripped the back of Lily's chair until the wood creaked under his fingers. The speakers hissed. Bianca's voice came through first, clearer now. stripped of piano and cloth. Once Vincent leaves after dinner, Salvatore handles the ledger, I sign as widow, and the maid's child becomes the story everyone remembers. Salvatore's voice followed, low and almost bored. Poor little thief. Nobody will look past that. The room could not pretend anymore. Every polished face, every folded napkin, every untouched plate sat inside the truth. Lily picked up the recorder with both hands and placed it in the exact center of the table, between the ring and the torn ledger strip. I'm not the story, she said. I'm the witness. Vincent could not speak at first. His eyes moved from the recorder to Clara's flour-dusted sleeve, then to Lily's small backpack lying open on the floor like something the house had tried to swallow. At last, he removed the signet ring from the table, not to wear it, but to set it beside the evidence. Then he looked at his attorney and said, very calmly, lock every account, preserve every file, and call my legal team now. The attorney did not run. No one in Vincent Moretti's house ran unless Vincent told them to. He closed the laptop, opened a secure line, and began speaking in a low voice that made the guests understand the night had crossed from scandal into record. Bianca sat down without being asked. The shine had gone from her face, leaving only the careful bones of a woman who had practiced sorrow for other people's cameras. Salvatore remained standing, one hand still near his pocket, but two of Vincent's men moved quietly behind him, not touching him, only removing every direction he might choose. Vincent looked at them and said, no back room, no private settlement, no family favor. The words were not loud, but Clara flinched anyway, because people like her were used to justice becoming private the moment rich people were embarrassed. Vincent saw it. That was the moment that hurt him most. Not Bianca's betrayal, not Salvatore's ledger. The fact that a woman had worked under his roof believing the truth would be more dangerous than a lie. Within 20 minutes, the engagement was over in front of the same table where Bianca had tried to bury a child beneath the word thief. Within an hour, her access to every account, property, trust, and charity board was frozen by court order through Vincent's attorneys. Salvatore's name was removed from the family foundation, the restaurant group, the port contracts, and the private security firm before midnight. The driver tied to Pier 19 was detained by legal authorities after Vincent's counsel turned over the messages, transfers, recovered footage, and the cleaned audio file. No one was dragged screaming from the house. That would have been easier to watch and easier to forget. Instead, every signature, every payment, every quiet cruelty was printed, copied, witnessed, and made official. Vincent made them stand there while the record was created. Then he turned to Clara and Lily. Clara still had flour on her sleeve. Lily still had one backpack strap twisted around her wrist. Vincent took the signet ring from beside the recorder and did not put it on. He set it down in front of them like a thing that had failed its purpose. Mrs. Hart, he said, and the room heard the difference. Not Clara, not the maid, Mrs. Hart. Your name will be cleared tonight in writing. You will be paid for every hour you worked, including every hour you were made afraid to speak. You will have independent counsel, not mine, paid for by this estate. You will not return to work under anyone who can threaten your rent, your child, or your silence. Clara covered her mouth, but this time it was not fear. Vincent looked at Lily next, and for the first time all evening, his voice lost its iron edge. And you, he said, will never again have to empty your backpack to prove your worth. Lily looked at the recorder on the table. Can my mom stop being scared now? The question broke something no confession had touched. Vincent lowered himself to one knee, not like a king rewarding loyalty, but like a man asking forgiveness from someone he should have protected sooner. She can start tonight, he said. It did not become perfect by morning. Real healing never did. There were lawyers, interviews, formal statements, investigations, signatures, payroll corrections, a lease for a small safe house with working heat, and a hospital invoice for Clara's overdue treatment that Vincent's foundation paid only after Clara's own attorney approved it. Lily received a scholarship in her own name, not as charity for a headline. Mrs. Bellini signed a written apology and resigned from managing staff access. Every employee in the Moretti businesses received a direct reporting line outside the old chain of command, and every camera system was placed under independent audit. A week later, the dining room looked different. The roses were gone. The table was smaller. Clara sat at it, not serving, holding a cup of coffee with both hands. Lily's backpack rested beside her chair, zipped and untouched. Vincent placed the little black recorder in a clear evidence box before the attorney took it away, but Lily kept the pink star sticker that had peeled from its corner. She pressed it onto a blank card Vincent had set beside her plate. Then she wrote her name on it slowly, in purple pencil, and slid it across the table to him. "So nobody forgets who heard it first," she said. Vincent stared at the card for a long time, unable to answer, because in that quiet room the truth had finally outranked power, and the child everyone had looked down on had been heard.